Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Godzilla podcast episode. We I have another special guest here tonight, and is Amin Viewer and his friend Snazzy. How you doing?
We're doing quite well, and how are you?
I've been doing good. I'm looking forward to have you in this episode, and we actually met each other at G Fest a few months ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, you and I met. He wasn't there.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met you there. I mean, it was so great. Meeting some online friends for the first time at G Fest, and
Mm.
it was good times. I mean, and and tonight's episode we'll be talking about Destroy All Monsters from 1968.
Mm-hmm.
Then and like in my other videos, we'll be talking about all the monsters and behind the scenes a little, and how do we discover this film.
Hmm.
So I might ask you, like, how do you how did you find and discover this film for the first time, if you can remember?
Hmm. Um, I mean, for a while when I was first watching Godzilla movies, there were only so many that were ever available. Some of them you knew about, but they were hard to track down because back then the only options were go to a video rental store and rent them because Netflix and streaming didn't exist back then, or wait for them to play on TV. But again, only so many of them did. I don't remember exactly when the first time I saw Destroy All Monsters was, but it was one of the later editions. Like I had seen the original and Mothra versus Godzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster a dozen times each before I had seen that one.
Oh
So
yeah, as I miss those old days where we used to rent these movies on VHS back in the days before streaming starts, and
mhm.
I I remember how I discovered this film. Like, as far as I can remember, I mean, when I first discovered this film, I remember like I remember the coolest VHS and DVD cover that was released in, I think it was the year 2000. I think, yeah, that has this art cover this that has like Godzilla King Ghidorah, like they draw like the Heisei style
Excuse
to
me.
it. Uh,
Sorry, bless you.
Kazoo. Oh, we have
Sorry, I
a
didn't mean to interrupt.
that's okay. We have someone on here. It's Gochi Fan 98, my partner. This movie was originally going to be the last Godzilla film, as Tominaka had run out of ideas and discussed to bring all the monsters from the Godzilla films and other Toho kaiju films. That's true.
Yep.
That is really true, because Toho just merely ran out of ideas. But anyway, like, so the VHS cover I discovered was at a video store at the mall, and way long ago when I was a kid. But I didn't buy it. I just looked around. I mean, back then, when I was a kid, I've always wanted to go shopping and go to every movie store with my mom, and I
Mm-hmm.
was and I was really looking forward to find any Godzilla movies I can watch. But apparently, like, my mom, like, doesn't want me to buy too much Godzilla films. I mean, she first of all, my mom thought I already had this, I already seen that. I mean, sometimes my parents couldn't even tell if it's like the same Godzilla movie I already watched.
Well, yeah, because they would sometimes release multiple versions under different titles. Like, is
Yeah,
Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster really the same as Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla? Well, the box art is different.
yeah,
They were deceptive back then.
yeah. It was. And Goji Fan Naia also says he remembers that he used to have the VHS cover "Destroy All Monsters" by ADV. It was an amazing cover, and he loved it. Oh yeah, I remember the DVD I used to have. I mean, when I watched this film for the first time, I actually rented it on Netflix online. Back, do you remember back then that Netflix used to have on the computer? You used to rent movies on there, but it goes directly to your mailbox with the DVD disc.
They actually still do that. A lot of people are surprised to learn, but it is
Really?
still a thing. If you had it before and you wanted to keep it.
I used to have that before, but now I don't because I have Netflix on Roku. Yeah.
We still keep it because there are some things that just aren't streaming. So
yeah, but I miss those old days. I mean, takes them back to my childhood. I mean, yeah. And then once I had I usually watched this after I rented on Netflix back in, I think it was 2006 or 7. I think I don't know, but I remember after I rented. I mean, the DVD at the ADI. ADV. I mean, there's no DVD menu. It just lets you play through the whole movie in English dub.
Yeah, that was, talk about a bare bones release. That was still back in the day when interactive menus were considered a special feature.
Yeah. And I remember, I mean, I think they also re-released this movie on DVD again in 2004, which is as a better cover of it. I mean, and also that DVD version also it comes with the CD soundtracks from the film.
Yeah, but it was still just bare bones.
Yeah, but I never owned that one. I only owned the original.
I had that one for a little bit, then I upgraded to Tokyo Shock, and we have the soundtrack on a separate CD now. So still got everything.
Yeah.
It's a great soundtrack.
Oh yeah, and the picture quality of that was it was like all bluish and not as it was like they took it from the film projector but now a few years later when they released this movie on Blu-ray by some company before Criterion owned the rights. I mean, they restored it to its original Japanese cut.
Yeah, that was the Tokyo Shock one, right?
Yeah, Tokyo Shock.
Yeah, it had the English and the Japanese. It had an audio commentary. We still got that one.
Yeah,
behind us.
I remember I bought that movie at Monster Island Toys that used to be exist in Chicago. Yeah, and the English dub in that version. I mean, when you go to English dub audio in that one, the English dub has a really low quality. Has like a deep voice. I mean, but then when Criterion owned the rights to this film, and they add the English dub to.
Yeah, we haven't seen that version yet because I mean we've already got the movie, but you know.
Yeah. But I hear I think there were 2 English dub versions of the film. I think the other version was created by American International Pictures, that the same company who did for the English dubs for the Gamera films.
I don't remember there being 2 dubs.
You? Yeah, I did not know either. But I'm not sure yet.
I know there are 2 dubs for Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and I know there are 2 dubs for Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, and the original dub has never been released on DVD. But as far as Destroy All Monsters, I'm only familiar with one. But
yeah, me too.
Maybe it's just a matter of quality.
Goji Fan 98 also said there were 2 English dubs of the film. So I was right. Goji Fan 98 knows everything. He knows everything about these films.
No. Well, we've only ever heard the one, so
Yeah,
can't
so
comment on the other one.
yep. So what? So let's talk about the film and what sort of things that happened like outside of filming. Like, what as far as you can remember about this film?
Hmm?
I mean, like, what do we know about the monsters? How did they made them? Do they use the same suits or?
Well, let's see. They made a new suit for Godzilla, though.
Oh yeah, the
Though
the the Shino Goji suit.
Yep. Though they also used the one from that was used in the last two movies for a couple of shots.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for the water scenes.
yeah,
I think it's a Mancho Goji suit. I don't remember what it's called, but they only use that
oh,
suit for water scenes.
it wasn't the Musagoji one. It was from Astro Monster and Sea Monster.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't remember the name, but this suit from the Shino Goji suit looks amazing. They used to
Mm.
use this suit in so many films,
Yeah.
actually in four of them. Yeah,
Yeah. Just starting with Destroy All Monsters.
yeah.
So I know that was a new suit. I think Rodan they used the suit that they had done in uh, the Ghidorah and Astro Monster. Um, but not having a new suit was part of the reason why Baragon and Varin weren't used that much, because the Baragon suit had been taken over to Super Raya Productions to be made into several different Ultra monsters, and that caused so much to be done to it that they could barely use it when they got it back.
Oh yeah, yeah. Poor Baragon. I mean, they used the suit. They replaced the head with so many different monster heads for the Ultraman series.
And because of that, Gorosaurus is the one who wound up playing a bigger role.
Oh yeah, Gorosaurus. I actually have the figure right here.
Yeah, yeah, you got the Bandai one,
Yeah,
or a Bandai.
I don't have the new one yet, but I wish I could get the new one they just released this year. I mean,
Yeah, this is the Mezco one.
yeah, and also the Gorosaurus. They actually it is the same suit they use for King Kong Escapes,
Mm-hmm. There's
and
a
it
medic
said
edition.
and they said the Gorosaurus was inspired for the meat eater from the original King Kong.
Yep. Whole reason he existed was just so they could recreate that scene without needing to pay the rights for it. And
Yeah,
now he's considered an iconic Godzilla monster.
and and some say that they I think they repainted the suit. I think they used the same paint of this. I mean, I think they add a little more paint detail on this. I think that's what they say.
Yeah, the paint needs to be touched up every once in a while on them, but I do think it was the original suit.
Yeah, and some say that the when Gorosaurus opened his mouth, they actually used some piano wires attached to the head and mouth to
Hmm.
make his mouth open. I think that's what they say.
Sounds painful.
Yeah. And Goji Fan 98 says, according to uh, uh, some source from John LeMay's book, the last film about when people think that King Kong was going to be in it, but it was departed for the uh, Daising Goji was used in the water scene. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, they were going to have King Kong to be in this one, but apparently they lost the rights to Kong. That their licenses
Mhm.
were expired.
And nowadays, Kong is sort of public domain and anyone can use him, and everyone is except Universal.
Yep, especially King Kong Escapes. That one's also owned by Universal, Toho, and Rick and Bass.
Yeah, because it
And
was based on a cartoon.
yep, and so let's get back to Rodan. I mean, I know they say that it's the same Rodan suit from from Gija the Three-Headed Monsters and Invasion of Astro Monster. I mean, it is the same suit, but I think they just remodeled the head. I think,
A little bit.
yeah,
I
because
mean,
I noticed because the head looks a little like, is his head and the neck kind of looks like a little finger, like.
well, it is on this figure. I did watch the movie again in preparation for this. The head on the suit is smaller than this, but the figure looks much better with a bigger head.
Yeah, and then Rodan's beak is kind of big down.
Mm.
It's like it's not as like straight, but his beak is kind of straight down here. I mean,
Yeah.
and also the guy who played Rodan in this one is the same guy who played Gamera in four Gamera films
Hmm.
from the original two versus Virus.
Yep.
Yeah, I
That's
gotta
an interesting
rewatch these
pair.
Gamera's films.
Yep. Same here.
And GochuFan98 also says there was an original idea for Destroy All Monsters was called All Monsters Attack, a directive to feature all of the monsters like Ebra, uh, Garanas, and Mongon.
The Gargantua's and Maguma. So
Magama.
Maguma from Gorath. Yeah. The walrus.
Oh yeah, they were gonna have those monsters in it, but apparently, like some Toho people don't like that walrus.
From from what I've heard, I haven't seen Gorath, but from what I've heard, the moon gets destroyed in that. So I'm not sure how they would have reconciled that with how so much of the action in Destroy All Monsters takes place on the moon. Um, that would
Yeah,
have been a continuity error.
I haven't seen that movie either.
Well, I
I
don't
don't
think
think.
it's available, at least not legally.
Yeah. So let's get to Baragon. So I mean, I know we already talked about Baragon. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
was a scene that first of all, like Margarana was gonna. I know Margarana was supposed to be in this one, but they were supposed to be having him attacking Paris, but they decided to use Baragon, but not in that scene.
Yeah, they say he's attacking it, but when we actually see the Arc de Triomphe get destroyed, it's Gorosaurus.
Yeah, they just replace him with Gorosaurus. I mean, I think and I think what they say in the film, they said Baragon is attacking Paris, but Gorsaurus just appeared, and we're all wondering like, where's Baragon? Why is Gorsaurus there?
Yeah. My,
Yeah,
my headcanon is that they're both attacking. So.
yeah, yeah. I think they say that they don't want to. They don't want the Baragon suit to get ruined because of the underground scene.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also Baragon was I know we all know he's in Frankenstein Conquers the World. I mean, but in the early, but they originally were going to have Godzilla in this one, but they replaced it with Baragon.
Yeah, there were all sorts of different projects that were supposed to involve Frankenstein. They wanted King Kong versus Frankenstein, then they tried Godzilla versus Frankenstein, eventually settling on the movie we know today. And but those earlier concepts, especially for the King Kong one, now that we've actually seen the art of what the monster would have looked like, that would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, and so let's talk about the Monster Island itself. I mean, it like some scientists they all just gather up all the monsters in one place, and but I think in the English dub version, I mean, they call it Monsterland.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, but in All Monsters Attack, in the next film, they call it Monster Island, but the Destroy All Monsters they call Monster Land. How can they tell the difference?
Well, Monster Island is technically Ichiro's dream. So,
Yeah,
And who knows if that movie is even connected to the rest.
Yeah, I mean, what I liked the part was when they yeah, when the narrator introduced all the monsters in order.
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, like Mothra shows up, but just in her larva form. I mean, and in the film, it took place in the 20th century. It,
Well, right at the end, 1999.
yeah, they said that in the English dub version, and that this took place 30 years in the future. I mean, what if some say that? I mean, this film is kind of like like all the Marvel universe films, you know, the ones
Mm.
with the crossovers, like the
Yep.
Avengers, Spider. This is kind of like that. I mean, have all the monsters come together in one film, like a big crossover.
Mm. It's quite a way to end it, at least as they originally planned. I mean, by doing that, it does create a lot of continuity errors. Like King Kong Escapes, they make it pretty clear that was the first time they've ever encountered King Kong. Yet that means King Kong versus Godzilla couldn't be part of that timeline. Yet Gorosaurus is still there.
Yeah, I mean, this King Kong in that film is like it's not the same King Kong from King Kong versus Godzilla,
Nope.
and yeah, I mean, in Destroy All Monsters, I mean, I don't know, just like if this Godzilla is like the same one from Son of Godzilla. I mean,
Well, I think there are two ways you could look at that. Like considering that Son of Godzilla was the movie that was released right before Destroy All Monsters, and it ends with them going into hibernation as they're getting covered in snow. You
oh
could
yeah,
you could theorize that the original intent was that maybe we were supposed to believe that they just sort of got frozen there, Captain America style, and then moved to Monster Island, so it is the same Godzilla and Minilla. But of course, they started making movies after that that took place in the present, as far as we know, present for them. Uh, Although there are some theories that the Showa series is actually chronological and everything from Hedorah to Terror of Mechagodzilla is set after Destroy All Monsters, but I don't think that's ever been confirmed.
yeah,
It's mostly just a theory. But get other than that, like with the other movies in mind, there is the question of how that could be the same Minila. Like he goes from looking l- like practically a tadpole when he hatches to starting to develop recognizable Godzilla features in just a couple of weeks, and then he doesn't grow in another 30 years.
oh yeah. I mean, I don't like. Yeah, I mean, this film does took place 30 years in the future. I mean, Miller just kind of looks the same. He doesn't grow.
Mm.
Maybe
Unless
one.
it's not the same one. Maybe that Godzilla is another Minila. Maybe that Godzilla is the Minila grown up, and the Minila we see in Destroy All Monsters is a new one.
Yeah, it could be, but my thought is maybe this film took place in another dimension, like another universe.
Maybe.
Yeah, kind of like in the other Godzilla film eras, like the Shona, Heisei, and Millennium. Like
Hmm.
these two films, I mean, Heisei and Millennium, maybe those are different reboots from another universe.
When the time travelers in Godzilla versus King Ghidorah went back in time and tried erasing Godzilla, everything just broke. Like
Yeah,
everything branches off from that point.
right. And oh, looks like we have another special guest. We have another. Oh, that's my girlfriend.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, my girlfriend. I'm actually, I'm actually do the next episode, All Monsters Attack, with my girlfriend in
Oh,
a soon. Yeah.
that'll be nice.
Yep. But anyway, like so yeah, like Minion doesn't even. So this is not like the same Minya from Son of Godzilla. I mean, it's just a different Minya, but the same one, but another universe. That's took place 30 years.
Could be.
And also, like, so let's talk about another monster called Varan, or I
I
mean,
bel
I don't know if I say it right, Varan or Varan.
I've always heard it pronounced Varan. Or
Yeah,
well,
it's
well,
I
I
don't know
mean,
how.
in the original Japanese, it would be Baran, but whatever. We'll just pronounce it however we do.
Yeah, I could call him Varan or Varan, or I mean, is so Varan made his first starring in his own movie. I think it was in the year in the end of the year 50s or in the beginning 60s.
50, either 58 or 59. I'm blanking exactly. I want to say 58.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that film yet. I mean, I think I gotta watch that film. I mean, I wish I can watch the original Japanese cut. I mean, I know there's a U.S. cut version of it.
Mm. The original Varan movie is very interesting. You can tell that they were like you, you know the production history of it, right? It was originally meant to be a TV movie that was co-produced with ABC, but ABC backed out midway through production. So they basically said, well, we've got half a movie here. May as well finish it, release it in theaters, and hope we can recoup some of the losses. So you
Hmm.
can tell it's rough, but Varn himself is pretty interesting.
Huh.
58.
Yeah, it is 58. Thanks, Gochi Fan 98.
Hmm.
So,
But yeah, like the original Varan movie, I think what's really interesting is that Varan is one of the few monsters who you can really say didn't deserve what happens to him, because he actually is living in mainland Japan. There's like a saltwater lake. He's just been there the whole time, and he only really gets upset when people start encroaching on his territory. And as soon as everyone knows he's there, they're like, "Oh no, there's a monster. We have to kill it before it kills us."
hmm.
Like, he's been there the whole time. He hasn't been bothering anyone. I'm
Yeah,
rooting
like
for him.
yeah,
You know,
I gotta watch that film. I hope it's free on Amazon Prime. I mean,
I think the American cut at least is streaming on Tubi. I've seen it there a couple times.
yeah, I mean, they say that Varan Varan, they said it was like a cross between Rodan and Godzilla,
Yeah, because he
but
can fly somehow.
and they say he's like a giant mutated iguana lizard looking.
Well, yeah, the name is derived from a variant of lizard, Veronipede, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I did subscribe that creature to be like a giant mutated iguana, kind
Hmm.
of like kind of like in the 1998 American Godzilla film, which is the a terrible
Yeah.
American one.
And of course, anyone watching this will notice this is one of the few monsters that neither of us are producing figures of as we talk about them, because there aren't any really. None that are affordable, at least.
Yeah,
And that's just a crime. I mean, Trendmasters had one towards the right before they lost the license back in the 90s, and you could barely even find that one. It wasn't really accurate, but I mean, dang, if I could have gotten my hands on it.
yeah. And so let's talk about Manda, the
Hmm.
giant snake creature. I mean, he does had his own. He made his first appearance in another kaiju film, which names I forgot.
Atragon.
Amtagon, yeah, the one with the ship that kind of like from Godzilla Final Wars,
Rotango.
the Tango, and they said that it's the same Manda design that they used in that film, but they use it in Destroy All Monsters. But except they remodeled the head, they took out
Yeah.
the whiskers and the horns,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they remodeled the eyes too.
Yeah. Yeah, the memory serves in Atragon, Manda has like the slit pupils and For the Destroy All Monsters version, they're a bit rounder, if memory serves. But
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, if you look into it, you'll also know that there's a deleted scene from the movie in which Godzilla and Manda fight during the attack on Tokyo.
Oh yeah, there was a deleted scene of that. So when Godzilla fights Manda, it was to
Mm-hmm.
attack in Tokyo. Like, I mean, they took that scene out because they said it doesn't make any sense because the monsters are being mind controlled.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, how mind control can they be if they're still fighting each other?
yeah, looks like we have another guest here.
Oh,
It's
I know
you
him.
know, it's
Hey there.
I'm starting to get lots of guests watching here. Yeah. Anyway, like I think Nakajima like, to play Godzilla, he's like he just plays with the Manda crop thing, and when they doing this when they filming this, when they yell cut, I mean Nakajima just plays plays with that Manda thing. I mean, I don't know if he didn't hear them say cut after they shoot it.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Just have fun with it.
yeah, I mean, if I did have like a giant monster suit, I would just totally play with that thing all day.
Mm. Amanda would be easy because, like, that's more of a puppet. You just yep, you suspend it between a couple of rods, and you can have it be snaking around everywhere.
And I think they attach a wire to the head, I think.
Hmm.
And also in after the like for the beginning of Monster Island, when the Earth people are controlling the monsters on there, I mean, when they're in this control center in the underground, that scene it kind of reminds me of a little bit like Jurassic Park.
Or does Jurassic Park remind you of Destroy All Monsters? It did come first.
Yeah, yeah, Destroy All Monsters did came out first, way before Jurassic Park came out. I mean, because Monsterland with people controlling the monsters on there, and they have force fields around, so they couldn't get out. I mean, that would make that into a great theme park.
Now that you
You know,
mentioned it, I do wonder if that was part of the inspiration Michael Crichton had in mind.
yeah, I wonder if Michael Crichton does have the idea for that. I mean,
You never know.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I did drew some fan art of what if Monster Island did was a theme park. People would see all giant monsters and monsters in their fences and their electric fence, and yeah, that would be so amazing.
hmm.
They should call it Monster Island Park.
I could see that. It would be one of the few theme parks you'd ever have to go to and get scanned with a Geiger counter as you left.
Oh yeah, Dennis and Injury. Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. But anyway, like so after the sleeping gas pulls all the Earth people, I mean, controls Monster Island, it affected the monsters too. I mean, after a while, they lost control of them. I mean, and they starting to show monsters attacking the world, like Rodan attacking Moscow, and
Mm-hmm.
it got and then Godzilla attacks New York City, was actually way before the '98 US Godzilla was released.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, this,
he hits the UN building too.
yeah, I mean, this was so people thought the 1998 Godzilla film was Godzilla's first time attacking New York City, but they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Destroy All Monster was, except he's 50 meters tall, and when he's destroyed the Pentagon building, I mean, that that big building, or
The
when they show
UN, United Nations.
the United Nations building. That's what I thought. I mean, they said that this building only goes to like 150 meters tall.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big as far as buildings in New York go.
Yeah, I mean,
Though I do think they made a very clear choice in having him attack that specifically. Like, because, he's not just showing up in America. The United Nations building is where people from all over the world meet. And if he destroys that, that basically drives the point home that the entire world is in danger.
yeah, I mean, and they did show, and they did show that building in the U.S. cut of King Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again they just use the same Godzilla suit from Ebra Invasion Astro Monster, and they only use that suit for water scenes because they didn't want to damage the new suits.
Mm-hmm. And you can sort of tell the difference, but they're close enough.
Yeah, I mean, and let's talk about the key locks.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch the film like a few hours ago. I rewatched it and said for the key locks, they say they're the main villains. I mean, they say they want to create some kind of technology on Earth of humanity. I mean, that point I don't understand. I mean, I mean I do understand about the Exilians from Invasion of Astro Monster. They want to create a drug that's cure cancer. I mean,
So they
but
say.
yeah, but for the key locks, as sometimes I don't understand. I mean, they say they want to help them, or but instead they lie. They want to take over the world and kill humanity.
It's the classic idea of evil not presenting itself as evil. Because think about it, if you want to take over the world, you aren't necessarily going to stand in front of a banner with a black eagle on it, twirl your mustache, and cackle maniacally as you're announcing your vile intentions. You want to present yourself as being altruistic. We don't want to actually harm you. We want to do good things for you. It's just that in order to have these good things that will benefit everyone to happen, some people are going to have to get, offed a little. It's no big deal, really, because the long term benefits are what is really important. But of course, the ultimate sacrifice is our freedom.
Yeah, and, and
Hmm?
Ghost Fan 98 also said that Daisen Goji will later make his last appearance in two Godzilla films later for Godzilla vs. Hedorah for the water scenes, and later covered Hedorah Slug's drop in scene. Yeah, that's true. That was the last time they used that suit in that film, which I'm about to do that film with Goji Geek 101 soon, like maybe next month.
That's her favorite.
Yep. And and Matt says villains don't usually view themselves as villains, but heroes in their own stories.
Yep.
Yep. And uh, the key laws. I mean, when sometimes when things got exploited or destroyed by monsters, they reveal their true identity about they're kind of like rock worm like creatures. Like when I saw that, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, that is one of the weirder reveals in a Godzilla movie. It's not quite up there with dancing fish in the bar like in the Hedorah movie,
Oh yeah, the dancing fish scene.
but like it is still, but again, I think that's sort of the revealing that plays into the whole evil doesn't present itself as evil thing. When we see the Kelox at first, they're presented as these relatively attractive women who speak very softly and are always smiling and just want what's best for you. But when on the brink of death, we see that they revert to their true form, which is this weird snake slithering into a rock. Not
Yeah,
really pleasant to look at all.
yeah.
So,
Like like I couldn't tell if it's like a eel like out of water or just a giant
hmm.
worm or something. I don't know.
I think it's the whole idea of leaving it up to the imagination, because whatever we can think of is attached to the other end of that appendage is far more hideous than anything they could have made on their own.
Yeah,
Ooh,
they
that would be interesting.
yeah they would be, and and the reason they do that their true form because I think it's because of the the temperature of the heat
Hmm.
and cold. They think that's what they said in the film,
Yeah.
and when Godzilla found the Kilok's hidden base, and after Godzilla destroys it, they just when they revert back, I don't know if they just revert back to their true form or they're just dead.
Yeah, well, at least in the English dub that we've seen, they say that it's a sort of suspended animation. And
Hmm.
one of the old scientist even says uh, it's possible they might be able to live forever, but we don't really know. They're kind of playing into having the Keelax be almost Lovecraftian, but not so Lovecraftian that they can't be beaten.
Yeah, and one of the human characters, like who were put in mind control, one of them was played by the same guy who was in Invasion Astro Monsters and Son of Godzilla. It. I mean, when he's put under mind control, I mean, when they capture him, ask him a few questions, he stays silent. But he just did one of the most weirdest suicides it
Hmm.
ever did. He just falls off the window and kills himself. And
Yep.
when they found out, uh, when they did surgery on him behind his head or ear. I mean, they just found a little metal thing that's like the mind control that the Kiroks put in. Like
Yeah.
I have no idea how they put that little device inside of him. I mean, that quickly in the film.
It's one of the many questions. I mean, there are real accounts of people who claim to be abducted by aliens having implants found in them.
Yeah,
So,
and
so it's like it. There is real world precedent for it. If it's actually real alien implants, who knows?
yeah, I mean, and they also had some mind controls for the earrings, the
Hmm.
the the earrings too. I mean, that woman in that film. I mean, I just wonder when uh, I forgot that I've. Well, first of all, I have some trouble saying the Japanese actor or actresses' names in the films because I don't remember much of human characters in some films. But I looked why when the guy was like struggling, like he almost like beat her and trying to get the earrings off of her. He figured out that these earrings are the mind controls.
Hmm. Yeah. Definitely one of the more surprising scenes in that movie. But I guess like you have to act quickly, I suppose. He's just sort of going for it. Though it was a clever when it does show that the Keylocks are clever because it's because the mind control devices were in the earrings that they when they were doing the check for them before the attack on Tokyo, that's why they let her go. Even though there was like a picture on display for people to look out for, it's like, Well, you look exactly like the person we're looking for, but we see no evidence of mind control devices behind your ear, so I guess you're okay.
Yeah, like uh, Goji Fan 98 also says Kellogg's can only survive in high temperatures of heat from any of volcano like Mount Fuji.
There you go. Yeah, that addresses the earlier issue.
Yeah, and also a part when after Godzilla, Manda, and Rodan and Mothra destroyed Tokyo, we got another shadow and they just reveal all the buildings have been damaged by the
Mm.
monsters. They kind of did the same way they did for the original Godzilla and Godzilla Race Again.
Mm. Yeah, it's one of the
Yeah,
other ways you can tell this was originally meant to be the finale. They had a shot that sort of called back to that first movie.
yeah, and also like when the military are trying to find the Kilok's hiding place, when they when Godzilla angers and Rodan appeared, it's like they're guarding the Kilok's base.
Mm.
But what I heard, they were gonna have like Mon- Mongola and Varan like guardian their base, but I don't the you know what I'm talking about, the other the
Yeah,
monster walrus
yeah,
creature.
Hakuma. And
Yeah,
in the movie, that's another time they name drop Baragon, but again, he doesn't show up.
yeah. I mean, he only shows up in small places. Like
Mm.
he only appeared. He made his full appearance in the ending, just for the ending. I mean, he did appear in small parts for the fight when they're getting ready to fight King Ghidorah.
Yeah,
I
and then he
think
just sits off to the side and watches.
yeah, I think they use a puppet after Manda appeared in that
Well,
scene.
well, I know they used a puppet for Varan, a puppet that was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet long. So
Yeah, and also Komonga is in this film too, and as I mentioned in my previous video of Son of Godzilla, that I hate spiders.
mm.
I just hate them so much. They creep me out.
Yeah, I've mentioned this several times to people, but I also I don't like tarantulas specifically. Regular spiders I can handle as long as I don't get up close. Yet for some reason, Kumunga doesn't bother me. It's
Uh,
weird, right? Very.
I mean, same thing to me. I mean, I, Komonga, he's okay, but I'm just freaked out of real spiders,
Yeah.
even tarantulas. I mean,
But-
and they actually use stock footage from Son of Godzilla and Komonga after Komonga attacks Kamakuras.
mhm. But yeah, yeah, Kumunga never bothered me. It's weird. Like even in the IDW Godzilla comics, in Kingdom of Monsters, I believe, there is an image they show of an actual spider before we see like it pulls out and we see Kumunga. The close up of the actual spider I have a hard time looking at, but when we get to Kumunga, it's like, oh look, Kumunga, cool. So
Uh,
I can't explain it.
yeah,
Explain it? Mm-mm.
yeah, and also like, and then
Yeah.
they they also brought back King Ghidorah. I mean, his third time in a Shona Godzilla film. I mean,
Mhm.
for this King Ghidorah, I mean, in this film, I mean, I think they remodeled the suit a little bit. I
Little
mean,
bit maybe, but
yeah, I think it's
not too much.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, messed over.
I think they just remodeled the horns a little bit, and I think they made the wings a little small again. I mean, they were small in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monsters, but Invasion of Astro Monsters, the wings look bigger in that one.
Hmm.
And I think they repainted it gold again. I think,
Probably to touch it up, yeah.
and also King Ghidorah was also played by a different guy in this film. I mean, and the other two films were, I think they're both played by the same guy, but I'm
I'd
not
have to look that
sure.
up.
Yeah,
Or we can just wait a few minutes, and I'm sure somebody will put it down in the messages.
yeah. Ghosty Fan 98 says, yeah, Verona was originally going to fight King Ghidorah, fight along with side with Rodan, but Varen was played as a puppet.
Yep. Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yep, and because Verona, it is the same suit from the original, but they only use that suit in the ending, and because the suit was over 10 years old and is getting old and it's starting to fall apart a little bit.
Hmm.
I think that's why. And then in some scenes they started to use puppets.
And he's barely in the movie anyway. So,
Yeah, and
from what I
yeah,
read, from what I read, there's a manga adaptation that makes sure all the monsters fight.
yep, and then they say they're gonna have King, like, yeah, but like just like Goji Fan 98 says it was Rodan and Varan were gonna fight King Ghidorah in the sky, but they didn't do that because of it'll cause wire problems
Hmm.
when they're flying.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be quite an issue.
Yeah, also all the monsters were stuck together because of the wires.
Instead,
Nope.
we get that classic shot of Anguirus holding on to Ghidorah's neck just by his teeth.
Yeah, and for that after King Ghidorah lands, I mean, like Anguirus, like he was really getting into a fight with King Ghidorah.
He is
He's like
scrappy.
yep, and for and Rodan, he not much. I mean, I know right. I don't know if it's the same Rodan from Invasion of Ashimos. I mean, I know this film took place 30 years in the future.
Mm.
I mean,
Well, it can't be the same Anguirus because the first Anguirus was killed. But
yeah, I don't know. If this Anguirus was created by the same way that the original Anguirus was in the second film, or just related to that Anguirus. And I gotta say, this Anguirus was, I love this Anguirus. It was amazing, and it made his other appearance in Gigan and Mechagodzilla. But sometimes I think they added some little changes to the suit in the other films. I think
yeah,
it's because of the head.
yeah, like I do think they changed the head because I think in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla he doesn't have the fangs.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. And so, yeah, I mean, when Anguirus was fighting King Ghidorah, I mean, he was really biting into to his neck. I mean, kind of like in Godzilla Race Again, Godzilla bites Anguirus's neck. I mean, like after Anguirus bite King Ghidorah's neck, I mean, we start to see some blood.
Mm.
This is like the first Godzilla movie ever showed with blood.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
after that, it would get even bloodier because they wanted to compete with Gamera. Because
yeah, and
Gamera got weirdly violent for kids' movies.
yeah. I mean, these monster films, they said these were meant for kids because kids are starting into giant monsters now.
Mm.
And they and they started to show blood in the Ultraman's episode, and Ultraman was fighting with Gyrus, and
Mm.
that's kind of like the Lophosaurus version of Godzilla.
Yeah.
It said,
Although it's officially the Loch Ness Monster.
yeah, I mean, and also when I rewatched this film a few hours ago, I just noticed something when Godzilla was fighting King Ghidorah from the back, and when Ghidorah was fighting him in the front. I mean, I noticed that Godzilla was actually biting King Ghidorah from the back. I could
Mm-hmm.
tell that his mouth, that uh, that Godzilla's mouth was on the back of King Ghidorah's neck right there. I mean,
Yep.
if you look back to that film, you will notice that if we watch that scene.
Yeah, it is a brutal fight, and of course, is officially dies in this one.
Oh yeah, and
Hmm.
98 also says like,
What I
y-
tell you, someone said it.
y- oh yeah,
There you go.
Shimin is. I have a hard time saying these Japanese names.
Mm,
You know, yeah, but yeah, in this film, like in the other two films, we actually see King Ghidorah fly away and it's defeated. But in this film, there's no escape this time because
mm.
all the monsters just beat the crap out of him and just put him on the ground. And what I love the part when Minya blow one of his smoke rings around King Ghidorah's neck. It's kind of like he's strangling King
Mm.
Ghidorah.
The ultimate humiliation.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Minila hits him with the smoke ring, and that's when the center head dies. So he technically deals the killing blow.
yeah, and also let's talk about the fire dragon as actually a flying saucer.
Mm.
I think they said in the English dub they say it was called a burning monster.
They say they say burning monster. The Keloks name it as the fire dragon, and so they say both of them.
Yeah, yeah. It turns out it was just a flying saucer.
Mm-hmm. They because they had to give the humans something to do at the end. That's the main
Yeah,
reason it shows up. The monsters are taking care of everything else, even after the human mind control has been broken. So they're like, well, the humans have to do something, right? And they're saying yes. So let's just throw in a burning flying saucer for them to shoot down.
right. And wow, it's almost been an hour already. I mean,
Hmm.
and also I forgot to mention. I mean, when I was yeah for the scene after the human characters land on the moon base and find out what's controlling the monsters and what the Keloks are planning. I mean, after the Keloks are planning the roast the rocket ship called the SY jet. I mean, I think that's what it said. The
SY3.
SY3. Before I get to that, I'm gonna say like is like the guy who made that was the same guy who designed for the Super X and the Return of Godzilla.
Hmm.
But anyway, but so after the killers are trying to roast the SY3 ship, I mean that the heroes got out. I mean, they found out what's controlling the monster is this like this big round ball with a glass around. I mean, like for that scene they did when they trying to cut it down. I mean, I feel like this scene is like took a long time to for them to cut that thing down because they're trying to roast it. I mean, with this music playing in the background and they try to cut
The
it loose. I mean,
the funny
and
thing, I didn't
oh,
mean to interrupt.
oh
Just
sorry,
gonna say the funny thing is that when the music is timed to the device, when the music is going, the device is going. When the device shuts off, the music shuts off. So the device comes with its own soundtrack.
yeah, and I also did a time limit on that scene when they're trying to cut down that I did time it and when I also stopped the timer for when the line was caught on fire and they just had to stop in the middle of it. And then when they go again, I actually press start again where it left off. I mean, and it took only a minute and 12 seconds.
Yep. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
feels longer, but like, well, okay. I mean, when you're watching something, just a few seconds of silence can feel like an eternity.
yeah,
See, that felt like a long time just now, didn't it?
yeah, it kind of does. And
Mm.
Erica,
Akira
yeah, he did.
Ifukube, yeah.
Yeah, this is Erica Nifune like this is his first return since Invasion of Astro Monster. I mean, the other two films, Ebra and Son of Godzilla, were played by a different
Hmm.
music maker. I mean, and I love the music for Ebra Horror of the Deep. That one is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is a good one. But Destroy All Monsters, like, it has a really good soundtrack.
Oh
All the
yeah,
monsters have their motifs, and they're some of the pieces aren't even that long. Like the piece Ruins that plays when we see the wreckage of Tokyo that we talked about earlier, just that panning shot of the destroyed city, that's
yeah,
only like a single horn. I think a trombone or something, or a trumpet, just playing a melancholy piece on its own for like 12 seconds, but it's such a memorable piece, just even as that.
yeah. I mean, and also like, yeah. So for the like the ending of this film, it's like this is kind of like a big. It's kind of like a sad moment that when they show all the monsters roll call again, returning to their bases. I mean, this is kind of like a final moment to say goodbye to the monsters because they said this film was going to be the last of the Godzilla film because they
Mm-hmm.
all have ideas and yeah, I also like part when Godzilla and his son Mila was waved goodbye and then they did another shot of their miniature doll set. I mean, and and Minya's face in that one is kind of it looks like his jaw is about to drop down.
Yeah, that's why they only held on it for a couple seconds.
Yeah, and also the people of Toho, they after they do this film, I mean, then they thought because well, I know they said they're going this film's gonna be the last one because they all have money and ideas. I mean, during this during shooting, I mean, this movie cost more expensive than the original Godzilla they made,
Mm-hmm.
and then they and the film's so expensive to make. I mean, the way to make this movie cheap is they use some stock footage from from previous films, like the
Mm-hmm.
scene when the fire monster explodes the island when they mind control the monsters. I mean, they use stock footage from Ebro Horror of the Deep.
Yeah, that would become a tradition going forward.
Yeah, and for when Mothra and Kamanga spray their silk onto King Ghidorah, they use stock footage for Gijo the three-headed monster.
Mm-hmm. And yet, the movie wound up doing so well that they kept going.
Yeah, and they thought maybe there's more money to make these films, and they decided to make more, and that's what they were going to do. That
Yeah.
and well, it's
Yeah.
already an
Speaking,
hour and 3 minutes, and is there anything else you have in mind in this film?
well, I mean, it just occurred to me as we were saying about it being supposed to be the last one, that also that not only makes Destroy All Monsters akin to something like the Avengers, it kind of makes it akin to Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, because that was also originally supposed to be the last Star Trek movie, but then they worked in a little cheat so they could bring Spock back potentially, and then they made like four more and kept going. But
Yeah,
as far as anything else, I mean, I don't know. I think this is a really fun movie when all is said and done. And you know, even if it wasn't the last one made chronologically, it is still technically the finale to the Showa series. And as a finale, I think it does work. I mean, it could have been better. They could have made use of every monster had circumstances been a little different. But, you know, for what they were able to do, I think they really pulled it off.
yeah. I mean, this was wasn't my favorite. I mean, I still watched the film, but not as much. But I don't hate this one. I like it. I mean, not too crazy about it. I mean, I know it does have a lot of monsters in it and all that, and yeah, but I would give this film like maybe 7.5 out of 10.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I,
it's
we saw
until
that.
all monsters attack him out, and that's the next episode I'm gonna do next. And the
Mhm.
next episode will be All Monsters Attack from 1969, the worst Godzilla movie ever made. Yeah, which I'm about to do that one with my girlfriend in a few weeks.
And be careful. There are more people coming out who stand in defense of that movie.
Yeah, they said it is the worst. I mean, I know this film was meant to be like a kid's film because of that boy
Mhm.
who's always dreamed. And so anyway, that's all we have left today, folks. And so until next time, I'll I will see you all in All Monsters Attack. As in Japanese, sayonara.
So long, everyone.